Hey Guitars. Let's go build some junk. Since I don't have a truss rod here just yet, we can get started on the fretboard. So, I had marked a spot where I believed we want to start the long scale. We're going to leave a little bit of room at the end because I'm probably going to do, I'm going to do a 0 fret, so need to leave a little bit of space. And I lined that up to where I had drawn the nut line, basic nut line on the blank. Got it centered in place so we can now mark the taper. Now, in a perfect world, this wouldn't be an issue, but this world isn't perfect, and I'm especially not perfect, so I had to turn the fretboard upside down on the blank to do that. Now, our blank, in theory, is symmetrical, but, I mean, in reality, nothing's truly symmetrical. It should be close enough, and, you know, honestly, I mean, once we get it placed, we can actually route you know, the clean edge, and then you know, when the time comes, we're gonna dig out a channel for binding as well. So this one, I think we may I may be able to radius on my routing jig. I don't know, I'm trying to decide, but in the meantime, we know where the taper is. So, I'm going to go ahead and draw out all the frets and everything, and then we'll see where we want to cut off the butt and stuff like that. So, yay! I will start, however, with marking my string lines. So, for strings, we count on about a 1/16 of an inch for the ease. We need to know that at this point because that is where we're basing our scales off of. Yeah, on the subject, I've never been a huge fan of calling it multi-scale because realistically it's compound scale. It's not multiple scale. I mean, it's multiple scales, but really it's a gradient. It's a scale gradient. So, I mean, you could set that scale anywhere you wanted. It just kind of makes sense to go ahead and make the actual outer strings your scale lines. You really don't have to. You can make it any damn thing you wanted, but yeah. But we are choosing to make our string lines where our scales are. And I did decide that we're going to do our, our perpendicular fret at the 12th. I'm going to do it this way. So, where I had arbitrarily decided to put my nut line, we're lining up there. This might lead to pure headache, but I'm going to try. clamp this here. So I don't have to worry about moving it while I'm drawing it. It's going to be harder to do with the 24 3/4 because it has a radius on it. Now, usually the lead and the mechanical pencil will just slip into the fret slot of the template, so it makes it real easy to mark the right spot. So even if my stupid hand isn't square trying to make the mark, we know the point on the line is accurate. Alright, so after we do this, then we will draw the 12th fret square. There's really not a need for there to be a square one. It really doesn't matter. It just, I think it helps us gauge how we want the fan to go. Really, it really don't matter. You don't have to have a perpendicular fret. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, okay, so now I can draw my fret lines. Shit. There we go. So it'll be, it's less than a 1/4 inch off the end. Okay. I'm going to cut the taper. We will clamp it onto the blank. We will drill our pins. And then we can flush trim it. Yeah. Change my mind. I'm going to go ahead and cut slots first, and then we'll do the other. Now my super sophisticated multi-scale slot cutting jig is, as you see, it's got this precision instrument called a block of wood and a clamp. Now I on the edge of the block, I darkened it so it's easy for me to see. And we have the faintest hint of light between the line and the corner, which tells me that the line drawn is just exposed, which is I want a tiny bit overlaid so I can actually picture it right, but I'm pretty sure the kerf of the saw is a little bit bigger than the pencil line, so in my, at least imagination, it helps me be consistent with how that goes. The problem with that is when you get to the other end where there's not enough board left to clamp onto. Because my thought process here is that by doing it this way, even if I'm off a little bit, I'm off consistently on every one because I'm doing them the same way. You flip it around, that consistency goes out the window, if that makes sense. If there is a variation in how I do it, it'll now be going in the opposite direction. And we don't want that. Anyway. So I usually like to have a piece cut off of this board to put under the block on the end so it at least has, you know, the correct clamping pressure. That's still a little sketchy. So when we get to the end of the board, I get nervous. One of Ben's sayings I actually really appreciate is precision in all things. At least that's the goal. That's what we're striving for. So, as you can see, this is not a quick and easy process. It's going to take a while. And you don't need to watch every fret. So, catch you on the other side. Alright, so remember I told you with a 2x4 build you have a tendency to get a little sloppy, not necessarily sloppy, but what's the word, careless. So it didn't exactly break my heart to flip it around, and I did a couple frets so I could pull the templates back out and see how things looked, and it looks like we're doing a pretty good job of being right in the center of the line. So I don't know that I would always trust that, but it looks right now like we're doing pretty good. So, I'm not going to worry too much about doing the last 2 or 3 that way. Yeah. And then cutting the end off. I don't know that it's really super important that it be all that precise. But again, precision in all things. Yeah. Okay, so now we can go cut our taper and get it placed on the neck and get rolling. Alright, I drew us a center line on the board. Remembering to do it with our marked and not the actual edge, since that's cut funky. Because I'm not above doing something stupid like that. Now, I can pick some arbitrary frets to gonna be snug. Yippers. Okay, now I'm gonna set up and flush trim the board to the neck blank. Yeah. I couldn't help but think while we're here, we might as well do the inlay. This is slightly terrifying. So we've got a 1/4 inch bearing bit, and they apparently are real prone to breaking. I don't want to break it. But I gotta ease it in at an angle, and it's never a fun thing. The biggest problem with this is lining it up. So I've got a template with center lines drawn, so I can, with center lines on tape on the board, I can try to get it lined up right. To mark an outline, but then trying to match that up with the fat template is a little tricky. But I think we've done a decent job, so we're gonna go for it and see what happens. And I hate having to plunge in like this. Seems like it worked out this time. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it's a hell of a lot easier than spending, a few hours digging out a hole. So, and that's pretty damn centered. I don't think we could have done better at gunpoint. Yay us. Glad I made that template. Thanks for swinging by. It means the world to me that people actually watch and find some value in my goofy shenanigans. If you're one of those people, then do me a favor and like the video and subscribe so you can catch the, future junk coming up. So we always got stuff to do. So meet me back here next time.